Have you ever soaked your pillow with tears simply because your mind refused to calm down? A single word, a person, or a memory kept eating you alive from the inside. Have you lived through those nights when your eyes were shut, yet your thoughts were racing thousands of miles, refusing to stop? And the cruelest part? That person, that mistake, that old moment, none of it exists in your life anymore. Yet it still lingers in your mind, like an uninvited tenant that refuses to leave. We all hold on to something, at some point or another. A relationship, a hope, a wrong decision, sometimes even our own broken version of ourselves. And this grip becomes so strong that it eventually breaks us. The mind whispers, maybe there will be another chance. Maybe things will change. Maybe I was wrong. And in this endless circle of maybes, we lose not only our sleep, but also our identity. But here's the truth. The tighter we hold on, the deeper we sink. Think about swimming in the sea. When you thrash in fear, you drown. But when you let go, surrender, trust, you float, you swim, you rise. This is the art of letting go, the art of releasing, surrendering, and trusting yourself. In his book, The Art of Letting Go, Nick Trenton has shown millions worldwide that letting go is not weakness. It is strength. It is intelligence. It is courage. It is healing. Because when we chain ourselves to yesterday, we lose both the power of today and the light of tomorrow. We keep asking, why did I do this? Why did they do that? Why is life unfair to me? But these questions have no end, because their answers don't exist. So we need the answers, freedom. And that freedom is found only when we learn to let go. Letting go does not mean forgetting. Letting go means giving your mind permission so much that it will not break again, telling your mind that it won't be a prisoner anymore. It's telling your soul that it has so much power inside it that it can laugh without anyone else. We think, and then we think some more. Then we think about what we're thinking, and then we replay that one thing 1,000 times. It's like a broken record that gets stuck in the same place every time. What if I hadn't said that day and thought that about myself? Am I really good? These questions have no basis. But these are the questions that hold us back. They rob us of sleep at night, our peace of mind, and our smiles. That's what overthinking is, the prison of the mind, a prison whose bars are not outside but inside, a prison where you are the prisoner and you are the jailer. You are the person who punishes yourself every day for those words that have happened, for the things that are out of your control, and for the people who are no longer a part of your life. Nick Trenton makes this point beautifully. Overthinking is an illusion within us. We think that the more we think, the better decisions we can make, the more we can understand new things. But the truth is that overthinking is not a thought. It is self-torture. It is that inner voice that keeps telling us, enough is enough, you were wrong, nothing will change now. And then we fall into that hole. Most of us spend more time in our own mental replay room than we do in our lives. We think, if only I had spoken differently that day. If only I had forgiven him. If only I hadn't quit my job. These are all hypotheticals. They may never happen, but they still keep us up at night. Trent says, overthinking occurs when we give too much space to fear in our search for clarity. We think that the more we think, the more control we will have. But in reality, we lose control. And the worst thing is that it becomes an invisible cycle. You get tired, but you can't stop, because this prison of the mind starts to feel comfortable. At least it is not familiar. But now the question is it possible to get out of here? The answer is yes, and its first door is awareness. When you catch yourself saying that I am getting stuck in that thought loop again, that is when freedom begins. Awareness means observing your thoughts, not judging them, just like when you are watching a movie. Just watch, don't react, knowing that yes, it is a thought, but it is not me. And this awareness slowly starts breaking down the bricks of that invisible prison one by one. Now think about what would happen if you could gently stop your mind every time it raced. Imagine your mind is not a mad horse but a calm lake where everything is clear. Don't you want to be that kind of person? The second weapon to defeat overthinking is presence. That is, living in the present. When you focus on your breath, listen to the sounds around you, feel the ground beneath your feet, you give your mind a job. Be here, be in the moment. This message from Nick Trenton is crystal clear. Your mind is a wonderful tool, but it is not the owner. You are the owner. And when you decide that enough is enough, I will not hurt myself anymore, then you take the key to that prison in your own hands. You have to remember that the habit of thinking is not created in a day, and it will not go away in a day. But every time you stop yourself, redirect if you do it, you will weaken that habit. It is a practice. Just like you have to work out in the gym every day, This is also a kind of mind gem. And the most important thing is that you do it alone. Billions of people in the world are living in the same pain. They don't just say it out loud, but if you are listening to it and can feel that this is your truth, then understand that change has started. We are human beings, but we treat ourselves like machines. We want everything to be perfect. We want all the answers to be correct. We want every relationship to run smoothly. And if something goes wrong, the mind starts to panic. Why did I do this? Why is it not in my control? And from here, a war begins, not with the world, but with ourselves. We think that if everything is under control, we will be safe. But Trent says this hunger for control is actually the language of fear. Fear of losing, fear of rejection, and the biggest fear is the fear of appearing weak. How many of us have thought that if I am perfect, everyone will love me, or if I don't make any mistakes, no one will leave me? In this way, we create a world of perfection where we constantly boil ourselves like a pressure cooker. But the truth is that perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect, yet we hold on to that expectation. And when we fail to meet that unrealistic expectation, we blame ourselves. You are not good enough. You will never be enough. Trenton tells us that the person who chases control and perfectionism is actually seeking peace. But instead, he is buying restlessness. Because the things you try to control are often the most uncontrollable. Other people are their behavior, circumstances, time. And the more you hold on to them, the more they will slip away. Just like holding on to sand in a fist. The harder you press, the faster it will come out. We think that if we do everything right, life will be easy. But on the contrary, we forget to laugh, are afraid of making mistakes, and become so obsessed with everything that life seems like a burden. We start expecting perfection from those who love us. Why did he say that? He should have understood that if he loved me, why would he do this? But we forget that people are people. They are not scripted characters, and relationships are not about control, but about acceptance. Now think if you could accept someone or something with all their flaws, how much lighter the burden would be. Have you ever seen a child who laughs even after making a mistake because he knows that any mistake is not his identity? But as we grow up, we are so hard on ourselves that even a small mistake breaks us from the inside. We punish ourselves for everything that was not in our control. But Trenton says a very simple thing. Acceptance is the antidote to control. It means that when you start accepting things exactly as they are and not as you want them to be, then real peace will come. You will start forgiving other people's situations and, most importantly, yourself. And then you will feel that life does not need to be perfect. It should just be real. Have you ever thought about it? How a bad thought can ruin your mood for the whole day. A small word, a small comment, or a little neglect from someone. And we internally magnify that thought 100 times, then from one thought to another, the second to the third, and before we know it, we are swept away in a storm where there is no one else, only us. Fighting with ourselves, walking towards ourselves, this is the spiral of negative thoughts, that mental quicksand from which if you try to get out, you have to sink even deeper. Nick Trenton gave it a very apt name, mental loops. These loops are created only when we hold on to every word, just like scratching a wound again and again. We wonder why he said that? What if I had said something else? Is everyone thinking bad things about me? And these questions never end. Every thought opens a new door. But behind that door, there is not peace but more unrest. What actually happens? We make the thought our identity. If we are afraid, we think of ourselves as cowards. If we feel jealous, we start to think of ourselves as inferior. If we compare, we feel like we have lost. But Trenton says these thoughts are not you. They are just the work of the mind, connecting words, asking questions, looking for danger. The real you is the one who is watching these thoughts but not drowning in them. The first step to breaking this spiral is to name the thoughts. The moment a negative thought comes up, catch it and say, it is okay. It is fear. It is comparison. It is insecurity. Just saying that I am thinking this will create a little distance between you and your thoughts. And this distance will give you back control. Awareness is freedom. When you can't stop thinking, start recognizing it. Think about it. If someone comes to you and tells you that you are useless, you get angry. But when the same thing comes from within you, you accept it as true. Why? Because it seems like your own voice. But actually it is your conditioning. Everything you have heard, tolerated, and now it has become your default. You have to make an active effort to break the spiral of negative thoughts. It's not a process. Let's say you've fallen into a hole. If you don't do anything, you'll keep falling down. But if you catch something small, a positive thought, a pause, a deep breath, you can pull yourself up. And that's the lesson. It's not necessary to identify yourself with every thought. Trenton talks about a powerful technique called pattern interruption. Whenever you feel like a thought storm is coming, Do something that will give your mind a hobby. Say it out loud, get up, or clap your hands, or stand up straight and start walking. This breaks the current in your mind, and you can get out of that loop. And once you regain control, you can decide which direction to think in. Have you ever noticed that we convince our friends that we're so good at it? We don't cry at their words, but we never show ourselves that kind of kindness. Why, you're human too. You also have the right to control yourself. Understand, forgive yourself. And when you do this practice daily, your mind will slowly start to rewire. You will automatically start to come out of negative thinking. And then those who were broken one day will start to heal. Those who were running away in fear one day will now be able to sit in peace. Love, communication, taking care of themselves are one of the greatest strengths of humans. But when this communication becomes necessary, when someone's mood starts to set your mood, when someone's late reply takes away your sleep at night, then understand that there is not connection, there is attachment. And when attachment becomes unhealthy, there is no love in it. It becomes a prison. Nick Trenton says something very profound. Emotional detachment does not mean being disconnected, rather being in balance. This does not mean that you will become stone or that nothing will matter to you. It only means that you will not make the presence of another person a condition for your happiness. When you learn this, you become your own best friend. We often assume that wanting someone means taking on their every mood, every decision, every problem. But that's what exhausts us. We put so much weight on our minds that it no longer cares and drags us down. Whether it's a relationship, a career, or a dream, when we make the outcome our identity, failure becomes the reason for our downfall. Trenton teaches us that we should be connected to the outcome, not the after. Because the outcome is not in your control, but the effort will always be there. Emotional detachment doesn't mean running away. It's a conscious decision that you want to connect with someone without losing yourself. Because when we live emotionally invested in everything, we start to feel hurt by every word. Someone's not responding in a certain way. Someone's tone is a little different. Someone's busyness. Everything starts to feel personal. And we wonder, did I do something wrong? Does he or she no longer need me? Am I not enough? This is where detachment comes in. It gives you that mental space where you can ask yourself, is this really about me? Or am I just overthinking? Detachment gives us that distance, where we don't react, where we respond, where we face the situation but don't let ourselves be part of the storm. Trent says, clarity never comes in chaos. When you're caught up in every emotion, nothing is clear. But when you step back, when you pause, when you allow yourself to ask, what do I really want? I'm more connected to myself than anyone else. Clarity comes. And with clarity comes freedom. The real meaning of emotional detachment is that you learn to take responsibility for your own mind. You don't have to rely on someone else's behavior for your peace. Whether that person likes you or not, whether they understand you or not, you remain stable. And this stability becomes the magnet that attracts the right people into your life. Someone may have told you as a child that you are an idiot, and that line becomes the script of your whole life. When a relationship breaks down, your mind accepts. No one can love me. Once you fail, you start telling yourself, I am useless. And slowly, these words become your identity. A person becomes what he thinks about himself over and over again. Whatever you tell yourself in your mind becomes your truth, whether it is true or not. And this is the mental story. The story that you have heard about yourself over and over again so many times that now it seems true to you. But the truth is that you are the author. And this story, this identity, this script can only be changed by your pen. We have all said these words to ourselves at some point. Why does this happen to me? I am always alone. No one understands me. I do not have that talent. And these words slowly take their place in our thoughts. Then no matter how good things are outside, the mind always says, no, you're not like that. You're not lucky. Bad things always happen to you. And that's how we get trapped in our own mental cages. Trenton says that the source of these stories is often fear. Fear of rejection, fear of loneliness, fear of losing. And we hold on to these stories because we think they define us. I've always been strong. I've endured a lot. These words may seem inspiring to hear, but when they stop you from moving forward, they become the biggest wall to your growth. So the question is the story you have written about yourself so far really yours? Or is it just a shadow of old moments that are still blocking your present day? Trenton shows us a simple but powerful path. Observe the story and rewrite it. Take your old thought patterns and write them down. See how much of them is true, how much is pain, and how much is just fear. And then ask yourself, can I rewrite this story? Imagine if you started telling yourself, I am learning. I am on the path to healing. I am forgiving myself. I am no longer the old story, but starting a new chapter. Then your thoughts, your energy, your face will all change, because when you change your mental story, you change the direction of your future. Detachment is important, but even more important is to say goodbye to the old stories. To add a new voice to your thoughts that will say, yes, I made a mistake, but I am not familiar with that mistake. Yes, I suffered, but I am not just that wound. Yes, it took me a while, but now I am taking control of my own steering wheel. You have to understand that your story can become your strength if you want it to, but if you keep playing it on repeat, it will not allow you to move forward. Letting go is not a one-day decision. It is not a dramatic moment where you say out loud, I let go, and everything becomes lighter. No. The art of letting go. A daily practice. A practice that starts every morning when you wake up and continues until you close your eyes every night. And when you take this practice seriously, life slowly begins to change. No goals, no drama, from within. Nick Trenton reminds us time and again that transformation doesn't happen in a flash. It happens in stages. It's built through small habits. Just 10 minutes of talking to yourself, 2 minutes of deep breathing, and at the end of the day asking yourself, am I feeling a little lighter today? When you wake up in the morning, your mind is most impressionable. If you start your day by overthinking, scrolling your phone, or comparing, you'll be drowning in that energy all day long. But if you take a few minutes in the morning to connect with yourself, meditate, and write a few lines of gratitude in a journal, you've cleared your mind and made it clear and grounded. Journaling isn't fancy. It's just a way to hear yourself clearly. When you put your fears, thoughts, anger, or confusion down on paper, they no longer reside inside you. Trenton calls it mental decluttering, and it's absolutely true. Our minds are also houses, and until we clean it every day, the mind will not want to be there. Gratitude is the thing that takes your mind from lack to abundance. When you write down 3 things every day that you are grateful for, you teach your mind that not everything is bad. And when your mind starts accepting that there are good things, it starts letting go of the bad things. But the most important practice is to live in the present. Trenton says, we live in the past or the future. And that's why we miss the beautiful moments of the present. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you talk to someone, really listen. It may sound easy to hear, but that's mindfulness. And that's where peace begins. We often think that life will change when something big happens. A job is going to be found. A relationship is going to be okay. A dream is coming true. But Trenton says that big change never comes from the outside. It starts from the inside. From those small victories that you achieve with yourself every day. Every time you let go of a thought instead of holding on to it, that is practice. Every time you keep yourself calm instead of getting angry at someone, that is practice. Every time you listen to yourself instead of trying to please everyone, that is practice. And yes, sometimes you will get tired. It will feel like I am going back to where I was. It will feel like nothing is changing. But remember, letting go is not a linear journey. It is like a wave. Sometimes up, sometimes down, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. But practicing is your victory. Consistency is much stronger than perfection. We all want to fly. We want to reach heights. We want to reach our dreams. But have you ever seen that a bird cannot fly as long as there is something tied to its feet? No matter how hard it tries, no matter how much strength it exerts, it is not possible to fly until that tie is broken. The same is true with us. We all want to fly, but we carry so many bonds in our minds, so many old words, so many people's words, memories of failures, and a heavy bag of our own expectations that we can neither run nor fly. Nick Trenton says that letting go doesn't mean hate, it means freedom. When you let go of someone, an old pain or an old version of yourself, you are not hating them. You are getting yourself back. You are reclaiming your energy. The energy that you have spent years feeling guilty, ashamed, overthinking, and blaming yourself over and over again. When that energy comes back, clarity comes. And direction comes from within. Often we wonder if my love was fake if I forget him or her. Or if I forgive if I don't, is my pain unfair? But the truth is that letting go is not an insult to a relationship or a feeling. It's just a decision to make some space for yourself. When you hold on to old wounds, they don't heal. They start to fester, and then you take them everywhere. In new relationships, new opportunities, in every decision you make. Trenton says that the bag is not just what you carry, it's also what you don't carry. People's expectations, societal standards, comparisons, guilt trips, toxic attachments. And the first step to lightening this baggage is to create boundaries. You shouldn't give everyone access to your energy. Trying to please everyone destroys your peace, not you. Creating boundaries is not about being selfish. It's about self-care. And when you are clear with your boundaries about what you want, what you won't tolerate, and where you want to go, you start to turn towards yourself. Become that version of yourself that doesn't wait for validation from anyone else. Now imagine if you started today by letting go of everything that isn't yours. Those people, those thoughts, those guilt, those comparisons. What would happen? Wouldn't you feel lighter? Wouldn't you be more focused, calm, and present? Trenton's final message is very clear. Peace is the new success. Now success is not just about money, fame, or status. Now real victory is being able to sleep peacefully at night, being able to forgive yourself, and moving forward without fear. Now real success is mental clarity, emotional stability, and an honest connection with yourself. Letting go's journey is never ending, but every time you let go of something unwanted, you get a little closer to your true self. And then one day you stand without a bag, confident, clear, and completely free. Many people think that letting go is just about forgetting someone, letting go of a relationship, or letting go of the past. But the truth is that letting go is not a one-time decision. It is a lifestyle. It is a mindset where you ask yourself every day, can I make myself a little lighter today? And when you say yes, you start to befriend yourself. Sometimes we hold on so tightly to people, to expectations, to failures, to comparisons, to guilt, that they all become weapons against us. We smile, but something inside is pulling. We move, but the chains of old words are tied to our feet. And then we wonder why I'm so tired. Why does every word feel so heavy? Why do I feel incomplete even after getting everything? Nick Trenton's entire book and this entire journey remind us of one thing. You don't want anything new. You just need to let go of the old burden that is tied to you. When you let go of the hope of a relationship, the guilt of old words, the fear of the future, you don't lose anything. You gain it. You get back the energy that was tied up in it. You get the clarity that allows you to connect with yourself. You get the peace that was never there outside. It was just buried inside. Today, as you reach the last words of this audio, maybe you too have felt a bit of turmoil in your mind. Maybe you too have recognized a thought that has been holding you back for years. Maybe you too now understand that letting go doesn't mean giving up, but standing up for yourself. So I just want to tell you one thing. From today, lighten yourself up. The words that break you every day, the memories that keep you up at night, the faces that make you doubt your worth, forgive them. Let them go.